English is part of daily life in many places. People use it at work, in stores, and even online. Sometimes we feel nervous because we do not speak it perfectly. We fear our words might sound silly. We worry about grammar rules. We stand in front of someone and forget all the words we learned. We feel like our mind is blank. We look around and see others speaking English easily. We wish we could talk like that too. We wonder why it is so simple for them and so hard for us. We think maybe we are just not good enough. But English is only a language. It helps us share ideas. We can learn it step by step. We do not need to be perfect. We only need to be brave enough to speak. Sometimes we learn a few phrases, but we still worry about small talk. We might ask, "How are you?" Then we do not know what else to say. That can feel awkward. Or we might meet someone with children. We want to say something kind and polite, but we do not know how. We see a cute baby, and we want to say, "Oh, look at those cheeks." But we feel shy. We might also worry about offending someone. Maybe we do not know which questions are rude. We do not want to ask if they plan to have more kids. We are not sure how to navigate that topic, so we stay silent and let the moment pass. Afterward, we feel upset. We wish we knew how to handle the conversation, but fear of mistakes stops us. We think we must plan every sentence in our head, yet in real life there is no time for that. The other person is waiting for us to respond. Our confidence fades, and we go back to using short replies. We nod or smile, hoping that is enough. But we want more than that. We want to speak freely. We want to hold a simple discussion without freezing. We want to see how it feels to share our personality in English. That is why the first big step is accepting we might sound imperfect. We must remember that making mistakes is normal. Even people who have spoken English for years make errors. Some days they forget a word. Some days they say something strange, but they do not let that fear shut them down. That is the mindset we need. We cannot wait to have every grammar rule memorized. We just need a handful of phrases ready to use. Then we can start a friendly conversation. We might see a parent with a small child and say, "How old is he or she? Looks so much like you." We can add, "You must be busy." These are simple sentences. They help us connect with that parent in a polite way. We do not ask private questions like, "Why do you have only one child?" or "When are you having another?" Those may sound too personal in certain cultures, so we learn to avoid them. We pick the right words for a pleasant chat. It might feel strange at first. We might not be used to these topics, but we will see that each time we try, we get a bit more relaxed. Our voices do not shake as much. Our hearts do not pound as fast. We start to notice that people respond kindly. They smile and answer back. That warms us up. We realize we can do this. We find that our biggest block was overthinking. We do not need to speak with advanced grammar to make a friend. We just need to open our mouth and share a small sentence, even if it has a little error. Practice is how we grow. After a while, we stop focusing on grammar rules so much. We focus on real communication. We find that a short question like, "How was your weekend?" or What grade is your son in? Can lead to a nice exchange. We feel proud. Sometimes we even laugh about an awkward moment. Maybe we said the wrong word. Maybe we paused too long, but that is okay. We tried, and that is how we learn. We begin to see that English connects us to many people. We meet someone at the grocery store, at a park, or online. If we say nothing, we miss a chance to chat. But if we say a simple, "Hi, nice weather today," we open a door. We might discover interesting stories. We might make a new friend. We might find a person who wants our number so their kids can play with ours. Suddenly, English does not feel scary. It feels like a useful tool. It lets us explore everyday life with fewer barriers. That is the main point of this lesson. English is not about perfection. It is about courage and curiosity. It is about taking small steps daily. If we accept that mistakes are normal, we free ourselves to speak more often. If we remember a few key polite expressions, we will feel less stuck in social moments. If we hear, "You have your hands full," we can reply with a laugh and say, "Yes, but I try to manage." That is enough to keep the conversation going. Over time, we develop better intuition about what to say next. Our mind relaxes. Our words come out more smoothly. We also see that not everyone judges us harshly. Many people appreciate our effort. They might even say, "Wow, your English sounds great." That feels nice. It boosts our confidence. We keep going. We keep trying. And one day, we notice we are not as nervous. We can talk freely, even with small errors. We see that daily practice adds up, that we do not run out of words as often. We respond faster. We listen better. We ask follow-up questions. We smile more. That is the start of our journey to confident English speaking. We do not need to memorize a huge dictionary first. We only need to trust the process. We let ourselves do it in steps. We talk about simple things, like kids, hobbies, or the weather. We watch ourselves improve. That is what makes English feel like a friend. It will take time, but it will be worth it. By embracing imperfection and focusing on real connection, we begin to speak more naturally. This is how we start building a solid base for all our future conversations. We realize that English is a door to new experiences. We decide we will keep practicing. We decide we will face our fear. We decide we can do it. That is the heart of this lesson. We see why English can seem big, but we also see how small steps can bring it closer. We gather our courage, and we move forward with hope. Many people think learning English must be boring. They imagine thick textbooks. They picture long grammar drills. They feel fear or dread. But you can make it fun. You can choose cartoons, radio shows, or podcasts you like. That way, you enjoy the process. You hear simple words and natural phrases. You watch or listen with curiosity. You notice how people form sentences. You see how characters interact. You laugh at jokes. You sing along to songs. You learn without feeling forced. This is a gentle way to build confidence. When you pick something you like, you want to keep going. Maybe you enjoy a cartoon series about talking animals. Maybe you love a comedy podcast. Or maybe you prefer interviews with famous athletes. The key is to choose content that makes you smile. You will not think this is study. You will think this is fun. Your mind will be more open. You will pick up words more easily. You will not quit after 5 minutes. You will watch or listen until the end. That helps your ears get used to English sounds. After a while, you start to notice common expressions. Maybe you hear, "That's awesome," or "How's it going?" repeated often. You realize these are casual phrases. You think, "I want to say that too." Then you try them out loud. You do not wait for a perfect time. You just repeat them in your room. You smile because you sound more natural than before. You also see how certain words fit into sentences. You see patterns. You see how "I am going to" becomes "I'm going to" in speech. You start to absorb these details. You speak more smoothly when you chat with friends. Some people say, "But my vocabulary is small. I must learn big words first." That can lead to frustration. Big words might look impressive, but if you do not enjoy them, you will forget them soon. It is better to learn words that fit your life. For instance, if you love cooking, learn words about food. If you like soccer, learn words about sports. Over time, you can grow your vocabulary in all areas, but do not make it a chore. Make it part of your daily fun. Also, put your ego aside. Many people fear sounding silly. They worry about mistakes. They think others will laugh. But if someone laughs at your English, that shows their own insecurity. Do not let that stop you. Many fluent speakers also made mistakes. Once they know how it feels, they understand it takes time to improve. We should be proud we are trying. If someone corrects us, we can say, "Thank you for helping." Then we remember the better form. This is how we grow. If we hold our pride too tight, we might never speak up. We might stay silent. That does not help us learn. Better to make a small error now and fix it next time. Sometimes you will hear a new phrase and think, "That sounds weird. Should I use it?" You can try it out in a safe space. You can talk to a friend who is also learning. You can chat online with a language partner. You can practice while alone in your room. Then, when it feels comfortable, you can use it in real life. The more you practice, the less awkward you feel. This builds your confidence. You might also notice that you do not need giant grammar lessons to speak well. You just need to know how people really talk. You see that from your favorite shows or radio segments. You see how characters ask questions. You see the small words they add. You see how they greet each other. By observing, you learn the structure of natural conversation. Then you repeat it many times. Soon, you do not have to think too hard. The words come out by themselves. Try to keep corrections gentle. Do not punish yourself. When you catch a mistake, say, "Great. I learned something new." Then keep talking. If you freeze each time you spot a mistake, you hurt your flow. You forget that your main goal is communication. You forget that English is just a tool. It is not a test of your worth. It is not a sign of your intelligence. It is a way to share your ideas. That mindset will free you to speak more often. It will help you relax. It will remind you that even native speakers make little errors sometimes. You may also notice that mixing English with your first language is okay in some circles. Many people do it. They slip in a word or phrase from their mother tongue if they do not know how to say it in English, or they explain in English and then add a phrase in their own language. This is normal in bilingual communities. It is not a sin. The main thing is that you are practicing. You are trying to speak more. You are showing yourself that English is not scary. It also helps to treat each speaking moment like a small game. You can say, "Today I will try to use 2 new phrases I heard in that cartoon." Maybe you do it with a friend. Maybe you do it in an online chat. If you succeed, you feel proud. If you fail or forget, it is no big deal. You can try again tomorrow. This playful attitude keeps your energy high. It stops you from feeling bored or tense. Keep doing this every day. Spend a few minutes with a cartoon clip, sing along to a song, or read a short news article if that interests you. Record yourself saying a few lines. Compare it to the audio from the show. Notice small differences. Smile when you get it right. Laugh when it sounds off. Try again. Over time, you will see improvement. You will see your flow is smoother. You will see that new words pop into your mind easily. You will realize that learning English can actually be enjoyable. You just had to find a way that suits you. In the end, your biggest asset is your willingness to have fun. The more you enjoy the process, the more you practice. The more you practice, the better you get. The better you get, the less you worry about how you sound. It is a positive cycle. It all starts with letting go of the stiff, dull view of language learning. Embrace cartoons if you like them. Embrace podcasts if that's your thing. Embrace new words without fear. Use them in casual conversation. Give yourself the freedom to learn and grow. That is how you build confidence and keep moving forward. Many people say they understand English when they read or listen, but they freeze when they try to speak. They feel their mind go blank. They think about grammar rules. They worry about choosing the right words. They cannot speak smoothly. This happens because speaking needs fast action. We do not have time to ponder every tense. We do not have space to recall every rule. Meanwhile, our conversation partner is waiting for an answer. One trick is to learn by topic. Think of topics like friendship, school, family, health, hobbies, and travel. Write each one on a separate page in a small notebook. When you learn a new word or phrase, place it under the right topic. For example, under friendship, you might write, "I want to make new friends," or "I have a close friend who lives far away." This helps your brain group words by context. Then, when you speak about friendship, your mind jumps to that section. You have ready-made sentences you wrote earlier. This practice speeds up your speech. Before you speak, it can help to write. Take 5 or 10 minutes to note down short lines about a topic. If you plan to talk about sports, you might say, "I enjoy soccer. I play it with my friends every weekend. It keeps me active." If you struggle with a particular word, you look it up and write it down. Later, when you talk, you recall these lines. You do not have to create them on the spot. You already built them in your notebook. Try to keep your sentences simple. If you attempt very complex grammar, you might slow yourself down. Short sentences help you speak more easily. Then, over time, you can add new structures. Also, when you write, you have time to think about correctness. but do not worry too much if it is not perfect. The goal is to prepare some basic phrases for real conversation. That way, you do not freeze as often. After writing, you need practice. Many people say, "But I have no one to speak with." You can start by talking to yourself. Stand in front of a mirror, ask, "How many good friends do I have?" Then answer, ... I have 3 good friends. We meet often. We go out for coffee. It might feel odd at first, but it forces your mouth to form the words. It makes your mind grab those phrases from your memory. You can also imagine a scenario where someone asks, "What do you do on weekends?" Then you practice a reply. "I like to watch movies. Sometimes I visit my parents. I also try new recipes." You keep going until you feel more comfortable. Another strategy is to read out loud. Take a short text in English. Maybe it is a simple article or a children's story. Read each line clearly. Focus on how it sounds. Listen to yourself. Notice if certain words feel difficult. Practice those words a few times. This does not fully replace real conversation, but it trains your voice to move in English. It gets your tongue used to new sounds. It builds confidence. You should also write any new words or expressions in your topic-based notebook. If you read a text about the environment, you might find phrases like protect wildlife or reduce pollution. If that topic interests you, you jot them under environment. Later, you can try to form a few lines about it. You can say, "I want to protect wildlife. I think we should reduce pollution for a better future." Repeating such lines cements them in your memory. It is also vital not to overthink grammar every second. Many learners block themselves by trying to recall every verb tense. But real-life speech happens fast. Communication matters more than perfect form. When you talk, if you mix up "I have been playing" and "I play," it is not a disaster. The person will probably still understand. Later, you can review and fix it, but at that moment, your focus is to keep the conversation alive. If you hesitate too long, both you and your listener may lose interest. Gradually, you will trust your instincts. The more you speak, the more you sense which phrases sound right. Reading and listening help this process. You begin to internalize sentence patterns. You no longer have to recall them as rigid grammar rules. Instead, they feel like familiar rhythms. You simply speak them. That is the beauty of practice. It frees your mind from the fear of mistakes. One more tip. Set small goals. Maybe you aim to talk in English for 3 minutes a day. You can do it alone or with a friend. You might start with a self-introduction. "My name is," "I like," "I live in," or you can describe what you did this morning. Simple things like, "I woke up at 7 o'clock, I had breakfast, I listened to some music." Over time, increase your goal to 5 minutes, then 10. Each day, you get a bit more fluent. Each day, you feel a bit braver. Remember that speaking is a skill, just like driving. You cannot learn to drive by reading the rules alone. You must sit behind the wheel and press the pedals. Yes, you make mistakes at first. Yes, it feels scary, but you improve by doing. The same goes for English. You can watch lessons and study grammar, but you also must speak and make errors. That is how you build real ability. So, do not worry if your mind sometimes goes blank. Do not worry if you use a verb incorrectly. Do not worry if you pause to think of a word. Each conversation is a chance to get better. Keep writing your phrases down. Keep practicing them out loud. Keep reminding yourself it is okay to talk to an imaginary person or a mirror. Each effort brings you closer to speaking freely. Each small success will prove you can do it. Gradually, you will notice you understand more than you thought. You will also notice you can say more without freezing. That is the true path from I can understand but can't speak to I can speak with growing confidence. Many of us feel tense when we try to speak English in a busy room. We worry about being judged. We fear we might say the wrong words. We imagine people laughing at us. We feel stuck in our heads. We do not enjoy the moment. We think we must appear perfect. We try to plan every word, then we get more nervous. This cycle holds us back. We forget that conversation is not a test. It is a simple exchange of ideas. If we drop our guard, we can find more pleasure in talking. We can show our true selves. We can use English to connect, not to impress. Some people believe they must act bubbly or loud to be good speakers, but you can speak calmly and be just as effective. You do not need to change your personality. You can remain quiet and still hold a conversation. You can ask small questions and listen with care. That is enough to build trust. That is enough to show warmth. You only need to be genuine. People will see that you mean well. They will want to talk with you again. You will start to relax. You will see that English is a bridge, not a barrier. You do not have to become someone else. You only have to open up a little at a time. Sometimes we blame the environment. We say, I cannot talk here. Everyone is busy. Everyone is looking at me. But that is often in our own mind. Most people are busy with their own worries. They are not judging every word we say. They might be shy too. They might wait for us to make the first move. If we keep waiting for them, we never speak. We leave the room feeling upset. Then we tell ourselves we should have tried. That regret stays with us. Next time, we might feel the same fear. But if we step forward once, we break the cycle. We see that it is not as scary as we imagined. You can begin by imagining a positive outcome. Picture yourself walking up to someone. You say hello. You ask a simple question, like how they feel about the event. You listen. You nod. You respond with a short comment. You see them smile. You see them share more details. You see the conversation flow. This vision can give you a burst of calm. It reminds you that you can do this. You do not need to fear the worst. You can think, what if this leads to a nice new friend? What if I learn something valuable? That shift in thinking changes your energy. It helps you feel lighter when you actually speak. Focus on the other person. Let them share their story. Observe their tone. Notice their expressions. Ask follow-up questions. People love to feel heard. They open up more when they sense genuine interest. As they speak, you can respond with small phrases. You can say, "Oh, that sounds fun," or "that must be challenging," or tell me more. This keeps the flow going. Then, when they are done, they might ask about you. You can share your thoughts in a relaxed way. You do not feel pressured because the conversation is not all on you. That is the secret. Shift the spotlight away from yourself. Ask them about their day. Let them teach you something. Let them feel you care. You also want to avoid turning the chat into a stiff interview. Do not just list questions. Listen to their answers. See if you can add a small detail about yourself. If they say, "I love hiking," you can respond, "I tried hiking once, but I got tired. Maybe I should try again. Do you have any tips?" That invites them to talk more. It shows you value their ideas. The conversation becomes balanced. It is not all about you or all about them. You both share, you both learn. One helpful trick is to keep some backup lines ready if the topic hits a dead end. You can gently pivot. You might say, "By the way, have you tried the new coffee place nearby?" Or, "I heard you like music. Do you play any instruments?" This helps you avoid awkward silences. It also shows you pay attention to their interests. That is how you keep things going when you run out of immediate topics. You do not have to be creative on the spot. If you have planned a few go-to lines, over time, this becomes second nature. You practice and see what works well. You revise if something feels off. You gradually develop a sense for smooth conversation. Try to maintain eye contact. Let your posture be open, not defensive. You can smile lightly, as if greeting an old friend. This creates a warm vibe. It relaxes you and the other person. They sense your friendliness, and they mirror it back. Soon, the tension melts away. Sometimes we forget how strong simple body language can be. A small smile, a nod, an interested gaze. These are universal signs of welcome. They matter even more than perfect grammar or big words. We also need to remember that no conversation is perfect. If a moment feels awkward, it is normal. Even people who speak the same mother tongue have awkward pauses. They might change the subject abruptly. They might get distracted. That is okay. Do not judge yourself harshly. Simply take a breath and try a new angle, or politely say, "Nice talking with you," and move on if it really stalls. Each encounter is a practice opportunity. There will always be more chances. If your mind starts to spin with self-doubt, remind yourself it is just a chat. You are not on stage. You do not have to impress them. You only need to be present and kind. You can show honest curiosity about the person. That approach will carry you further than any memorized script. Also, remember that half the people around you have their own doubts. Maybe they also worry about sounding silly. Maybe they do not know what to say. So if you speak first, you help both of you. Whenever you feel anxious about your English level, return to this thought. Your real goal is to connect. You do not need a big vocabulary to connect. You need sincerity. You can say, "I really like that idea," or "Wow, that's interesting," or "I never knew that." These small replies show engagement. They keep the talk alive. Sometimes we assume we need fancy words, but often we do not. Often, A simple reaction is enough to bond two people in conversation. Each time you follow these steps, you build more courage. You see that people respond well. You realize you can handle silence. You discover you can steer the talk to different topics. You note that your English, even if not perfect, is enough. This sense of progress fuels your desire to keep going. You begin to view each new social setting as a chance to learn something or meet someone cool. That sense of adventure replaces the old fear. You carry yourself with more self-assurance. Little by little, you become the type of person who can walk into a room and chat freely. You do not need to be the loudest voice. You just need to show genuine warmth. That is the heart of good conversation. That is how we build relationships. By shifting our mindset from fear to curiosity, from I must impress to I want to connect, we find a new comfort in speaking English. We see that we can manage small talk, deeper talk, or any talk because we are open to learning. This is how we move forward with more ease and joy. Sometimes people do not realize how much confidence matters. They think English is just about words. They think it is about grammar or pronunciation. But there is another layer. It is about how you feel when you speak. It is about the energy you project. Good communication can open many doors. You might find better job offers. You might get a chance to lead a new project. You might catch someone's eye in a positive way. You might connect with strangers who become friends. You might gain respect from colleagues. You might feel proud when you see how your words affect people. At the same time, insecurity can block your voice. You might have a past story that says you are not good enough. You might recall a time someone teased your accent. You might remember freezing in a class presentation. Those thoughts can create a wall in your mind. The next time you try to speak, you sense that block. You lose the words you practiced. You worry about sounding silly. You forget your ideas. You become quiet even when you have something to say. This is the power of the mind. It can hold you back more than any grammar error. You can know hundreds of words, but still feel stuck. That is why it is so important to face those fears. You need to see that your past does not define you. You need to allow yourself to move on. One way to move on is to enrich your vocabulary. Sometimes we struggle to speak because we lack the right words. We know part of the sentence, but not all of it. We get stuck on missing pieces. But we can fill those gaps by reading. If we read a short article each day, we see new terms. If we pick up a book for 15 minutes, we learn phrases we never knew. If we like sports, we can read sports news in English. If we enjoy cooking, we can read simple recipes in English. We can also listen to short audio segments. We do not have to spend hours. Even a quick session helps us discover words that help in daily conversation. Then, when we practice speaking, those words come to mind. We do not feel as blocked. We do not have that moment of panic searching for a term we cannot recall. Another way is to examine our inner thoughts. If we keep telling ourselves we are bad at English, we stay stuck. If we say, I can't speak well, we build that limit. It becomes a habit. But what if we say, I am improving every day, or I can share my thoughts even with mistakes. That small shift in mindset can change everything. We start to notice little wins. We see that we can ask for directions in English. We see that we can greet a coworker or chat briefly with a neighbor. We sense that maybe we are not so bad. Those small successes pile up. Soon we trust ourselves more. That trust shows in our voice. Others sense it. They respond better. That motivates us further. We can also remember that conversation goes beyond the words. It includes eye contact, tone, and the warmth we bring. If we say, "Hello, how are you?" with a genuine smile, it already sets a positive tone. People see that we care. They may not mind if we slip on a verb tense. They may not notice if we pause to find the right word. They see our friendly approach, they relax, and the talk flows more easily. This is often more powerful than a perfect sentence. Our intention matters. If our intention is to connect, people feel that. If our intention is to show off, they might feel judged or bored. So we should set positive intentions. We should come from a place of curiosity and kindness, and that creates a safer space for both sides. We also need to accept that progress is not always fast. Sometimes we learn a new vocabulary set, but we still get anxious at big gatherings. Sometimes we know all the grammar rules, but our voice shakes when we speak up in a meeting. It takes time to calm that inner fear. We might do breathing exercises. We might remind ourselves it is okay to be nervous. We might try small steps, like saying a short comment rather than a long speech. Over time, our comfort zone grows. We see that we can handle these moments. Each time we succeed, we reduce the old fear. Each time we fail, we learn a lesson. We find that failure is not final. We get up and try again. Simple daily habits also help. If we read or listen to English each morning, we keep it fresh in our mind. If we watch a short English video before bed, we go to sleep with those rhythms in our head. If we keep a small notebook of new words, we review them while waiting for a bus or during a break. These small efforts pile up. They make us more prepared. We do not freeze as much because we have more language resources to draw from. We also strengthen our sense of achievement. We know we are doing something every day that boosts our confidence. Sometimes just looking at the bigger picture helps. We can ask ourselves, why do we want to speak English well? Maybe we dream of studying abroad. Maybe we hope to travel and meet new people. Maybe we want to move up in our career. Maybe we want to help a family member with translations. When we recall that reason, we regain our motivation. We realize this is not about passing a test. It is about opening doors in life. It is about shaping our future. That reason can help us push through awkward moments. It can help us keep practicing even when it seems tedious. It can help us stay strong if someone mocks our accent. We know we have a purpose. We keep going. By letting go of old fears and focusing on building ourselves up, we find new freedom. Communication becomes a skill we can refine over time. We do not get stuck in old beliefs. We remind ourselves that our value is not measured by perfect English. Our voice still counts. Our ideas are still worthy. Others can see our effort, They appreciate our spirit, and soon speaking English feels more natural. We may still make errors, but they do not shame us. We stay calm, speak again, and learn from each exchange. Gradually, we notice more and more doors opening. That is how confidence in speaking can change our lives for the better. Some people study English for years, but hesitate when it is time to speak. They say they need more lessons first. They want to know all the rules. They wait for the perfect moment, but that perfect moment never comes. The best way to learn is to start speaking on day one. It does not matter if you have a heavy accent. It does not matter if your grammar is shaky. You can only improve by doing. Waiting too long can trap you in fear. You think, I am not ready. But that thought repeats forever. Meanwhile, others who practice daily gain confidence little by little. They talk to friends, family, or even themselves. They make mistakes, but they learn fast. They see each error as a clue. They correct it next time and move on. Daily practice does not have to be complicated. It could be a 5-minute chat with your cousin. It could be reading a few lines from a simple article and saying them out loud. It could be writing a short note in English before bed. If you want to push yourself more, you can join an online group. You can say, "Hello, I am learning English. Let's practice together." You can ask questions, share tips, or talk about daily life. This creates a safe space to grow. At first, it might feel awkward, but soon you see your fear go down. You realize nobody is judging you harshly. Everyone is there to improve, and that lifts the pressure. You start to enjoy the process. Our mother tongue is dear to us. We use it with family. We feel comfortable in it. We might speak it flawlessly, but in many professional settings, English is the main language. That can feel stressful. We wonder if we can match the level of our coworkers. We might stay quiet in meetings even. If we have ideas later, we feel bad. We think, I could have shared something useful. This is why we need to train ourselves to speak up, even if we slip on a word or phrase. At least our voice is heard. Our colleagues may notice our efforts. They might offer help, and they might value our input. We learn by speaking, not by remaining silent. Over time, we stop seeing English as a big barrier. We see it as a tool we can master. We must also remember that daily practice helps with other skills. When you speak, you develop listening too. You wait for the other person's response. You tune in to their accent, their flow. You pick up new terms or slang. You might hear them say something like, I am swamped, instead of, I am very busy. Then you think, oh, this is a neat phrase. You add it to your mental list, and next time you try it in your own sentence. That is how we expand our range. It happens in real time, not just from textbooks. Consistency is key. You cannot cram all your speaking practice into one weekend and hope to be fluent. It must be a daily habit. You can decide to spend 5 minutes talking about your day, or you can watch a short video and then describe it in English. If you miss a day, do not quit. Simply pick it up again tomorrow. The point is to keep going. You want English to feel like a normal part of your routine. Then, when a big opportunity arises, like a job interview or a public presentation, You are not so nervous. You have been training for this moment in small steps all along. Sometimes people say, "But my mother tongue is strong. Why bother speaking English at home?" That is your choice. There is no reason to abandon your native language. It is precious. But if you never use English outside of school or work, you will not progress as fast. You can find a balance. Maybe you speak English with certain friends or during certain tasks. Maybe you join an English-speaking club once a week or volunteer to guide tourists in English. Any chance to practice is helpful. If you keep English only for tests or office emails, it will remain stiff. You want it to flow naturally in daily life. That requires practice in varied settings. When you do practice, embrace mistakes. Many learners freeze because they think errors are shameful, but how else can you grow? Each slip shows you what to fix. You might use the wrong preposition, but next time you catch it and adjust. That is how children learn their first language. They try, they mess up, they try again. Nobody expects them to be perfect. Over time, they master speech. You can do the same, but only if you give yourself permission to be imperfect. Otherwise, you block your own progress. It also helps to track small wins. Write down when you manage to speak for 5 minutes straight. Note the day you asked a question in English without fear. Mark the first time you understood a movie scene without subtitles. These milestones keep you motivated. They remind you that you are advancing. They show that your efforts are not wasted. On days you feel stuck, look at that list. See how far you have come. That feeling can push you to keep going. If you feel stuck, try changing your practice method. If you usually talk about the same topic, find a new one. If you always chat with the same friend, find another partner online. If you only watch cartoons, maybe watch a short documentary. Variety keeps your mind alert. It also exposes you to different words and accents. You never know which new style will spark a breakthrough in your speaking. In the end, daily speaking practice gives you the biggest return on effort. By talking often, you reduce your anxiety, build confidence, spot real gaps in your knowledge, and fix them quickly. You stop seeing English as a strange language and start seeing it as part of your life. That is the true power of steady, consistent practice. It does not require big leaps. It needs simple, persistent steps, and each step moves you closer to the day when you speak English with ease. Reading, listening, speaking, and writing all work together to help you learn English. When you focus on just one skill, you might see some progress, but you will miss the bigger picture. Each skill helps the others grow. When you read, you see how words fit together. You notice grammar rules in action. You come across new phrases that people actually use. When you listen, you discover the rhythm of English speech. You notice how certain words blend. You hear the tone, the intonation, the pauses. You get a feel for real conversations. This helps you speak more naturally. Then, when you speak, you use the words and patterns you have read and heard. If you make errors, you can correct them by referring back to what you have read or heard. Finally, writing gives you a chance to create sentences at your own pace. You can think about structure without the pressure of an immediate response. You can fix mistakes more calmly. In this way, all four skills become a circle of growth. Each one supports the others. Many people like to focus on just speaking. They say, I want to talk fast. I want to sound fluent. That is understandable. Speaking is what most people notice. But if you never read or listen, you might run out of words. You might get stuck in the same expressions. You might not pick up new vocabulary. You might even get bored. Reading, even if only a page a day, adds so many fresh ideas. You see different ways to say the same thing. You see how an author describes a scene. You see how a conversation might flow in a story. When you put the book down, you have new tools for your own speech. Listening can be equally powerful. Some learners skip listening practice because they think it is too hard or time-consuming. But listening is what helps you catch the natural flow of the language. You hear phrases like, hang on a second, or I gotta run. You learn that people do not always say, I must go now. They say something shorter or more casual. You realize that the tone can change the meaning. You see that a rising tone at the end might indicate a question, even if the sentence words do not change. This helps your ear become sharper. You can respond faster when someone talks to you because you are used to hearing the patterns. You also absorb how native speakers link words together. Later, when you speak, you might link words yourself almost without thinking. Writing is often ignored by those who feel they just want to speak fluently, but writing forces you to slow down and arrange your thoughts. It helps you see if you truly understand how to form a sentence. You might notice that you always mix up a certain tense or that you rely on the same 3 verbs. When you write, you have time to correct that. You can look up a better verb or a clearer phrase. Then you can read your text out loud. This merges writing with speaking. You practice the words you wrote. You correct your own pronunciation if it sounds off. You gain double practice from a single task. You also build confidence, knowing that you can form proper sentences when given the chance to think them through. When all 4 skills come together, you feel balanced. You can read an article and learn new expressions. Then you can listen to a short news clip or a podcast on the same topic. You hear how those expressions might be pronounced. You notice some new synonyms. After that, you might write a short summary of what you read and heard. You pick out the key points and try to put them in your own words. Then, if you have a friend or an online partner, you speak about it. You share what you learned. You might even hold a small debate. This layered approach helps the language stick in your mind. You use it in different ways. You see it, hear it, write it, and speak it. Each time, your understanding grows deeper. Some learners worry they do not have time for all 4, but even small doses can be enough if done consistently. You can read for 5 minutes in the morning. You can listen to a short podcast on your commute. You can write a few lines in a journal at night. You can speak to yourself in front of a mirror or speak to a friend online. These mini sessions add up. They keep your brain engaged and stop you from getting stuck in one skill. You do not have to do them all every single day. You can rotate them. Maybe Monday is for reading and a bit of listening. Tuesday, you focus on writing something short. Wednesday, you spend more time speaking. The key is to avoid letting any single skill fall behind for too long. This balanced approach also helps avoid boredom. If you only read grammar rules, you might feel you are making no progress in speaking. If you only watch videos, you might never learn to write properly. By rotating, you keep your mind fresh. You also see progress in multiple areas, which can be motivating. You notice that you can handle a simple text more easily. You notice that an audio clip you once found hard now seems clearer. You realize that your writing style is improving. You feel more relaxed when speaking. This sense of overall improvement keeps you interested. It also builds your self-confidence for real-life situations. If you travel or study abroad, you will face all sorts of tasks. Sometimes you must read signs or forms. Sometimes you must listen to announcements or instructions. Sometimes you must write emails or short notes. Sometimes you must speak to a clerk or a teacher. If you have only practiced one skill, you might panic when confronted with the others. But if you have given each skill some attention, you can adapt. You won't freeze at the airport check-in because you've done some listening practice. You won't fear writing a brief note to your landlord because you've practiced writing short paragraphs before. You can handle different scenarios, and that feels great. This approach of weaving, reading, listening, writing, and speaking together does not have to be overwhelming. You can think of it as a cycle. Maybe you read a short text and learn a few new words. Next, you find a short audio segment on a similar topic, listen, and try to understand, maybe writing down key words. Then you write a quick summary or share your opinion. After that, you can speak out loud about what you learned, either alone or with a friend. Each step connects to the others and reinforces your memory. You feel more satisfied because you did not just passively receive information, you actively turned it around in different ways. When you follow this cycle regularly, you gain momentum. You might also find areas you enjoy the most. Perhaps you love reading short stories, or maybe you enjoy listening to interviews about technology. You can focus more on what brings you joy, but remember not to neglect the other skills entirely. A balanced learner feels confident walking into a new environment, knowing they can manage all sorts of communication tasks. That confidence is what we want. It leads to a sense of mastery. Even if we are still making progress, it reminds us that English is not just a subject, but a tool we can use in many forms. When you see English as a friend in all these different ways, you begin to relax. You stop forcing yourself to memorize random lists and instead use the language in real, practical methods. You reflect on what you read, discuss what you listen to, write about your thoughts, and speak them out loud. You keep adjusting. You keep improving. This is the power of integrating reading, listening, speaking, and writing. It helps you create a strong foundation, keeps you excited to learn, and prepares you for whatever English challenges life may bring. We have covered many ways to practice and build confidence in speaking English, and it all comes down to small steps and a steady routine. At this point, it helps to see how these methods fit together. You might pick a few topics that interest you, like travel, sports, or health. You note new words and phrases in a small notebook. You also spend a few minutes each day listening to English content you enjoy, such as a short clip of a show or a podcast. Then, you try to use what you've heard in a conversation. If you don't have a partner, you can talk to yourself or record your voice. Later, you can play it back and check where you paused or stumbled. In the meantime, try reading short articles, stories, or even children's books. This exposes you to sentence patterns in a relaxed way. After reading, you might write a small summary, helping you organize your thoughts. Then, read it out loud as if sharing it with a friend. You'll see how all these skills merge. Your speaking gains new rhythm from your listening. Your writing becomes more precise from your reading. Your mind opens up to words you never used before. You'll discover that real progress often shows itself in small moments. Maybe you find it easier to greet someone in English at a store. Maybe you suddenly reply in English without translating in your head. Maybe you ask a follow-up question like, "Tell me more about that," and it feels natural. These are signs that your confidence is taking shape. Sometimes you might still feel anxious, especially in larger groups. That is normal. Everyone feels some nerves. The important thing is not to let it silence you. Remind yourself that mistakes are part of the process. If you worry about grammar, remember that many fluent speakers also make small slips. They keep talking, focusing on the message, not the error. The same is true for you. Pause for a second. Smile, correct yourself if needed, and move on. People around you often respect the effort. They do not expect you to be flawless. They just want to hear your thoughts. If someone corrects you, thank them and repeat the correct form if you can. That small act helps you lock it into your memory. It also shows a positive attitude, which invites more friendly exchanges in the future. Little by little, you build a reputation as someone who tries, who is eager to learn, and who is open to conversation. It also helps to set small, clear goals. For instance, you could decide to use 5 new words in a conversation this week, or challenge yourself to speak for 3 minutes straight about any topic. If you succeed, you'll feel proud. If you miss the target, keep going. You don't let it become a reason to quit. You might also decide to approach one person each week in a social setting just to say hello and ask a simple question in English. These small goals keep you moving forward and make your progress visible. When you reach one goal, you create another. Over time, you'll realize just how far you've come. You no longer freeze at every question. You don't panic over mistakes. You begin to sound more natural, more relaxed, and more like yourself. If you meet people with children, you'll have polite phrases ready, like, "She looks so much like you," or "How old is he?" If someone asks about your day, you don't just say, "Good." You might add 1 or 2 extra lines so the conversation doesn't die. You share a tiny detail about your morning and ask them a question back. You'll notice that the flow feels easier. If someone seems busy, you sense it and wrap up politely. If they want to chat more, you continue. This awareness grows with practice. The fear of sounding awkward fades when you see that most people are friendly or curious. Many are relieved when someone breaks the ice. You might even make their day brighter just by asking a friendly question. You should also think about how you treat yourself. If you finish a short conversation in English, appreciate that success. Maybe you only spoke for 1 minute, but that is 1 minute more than zero. This positive mindset matters. Criticizing yourself too harshly can halt your improvement and make you dread your next attempt. Instead, remind yourself that every chat is a lesson. Every phrase you try is a step toward better skills. Nobody learns a new language overnight. We do it piece by piece, word by word, sentence by sentence. Over time, these pieces form a coherent ability to talk freely. Then you see that English is not a giant mountain. It's a path you walk each day, and the view improves as you go higher. In the end, it's all about creating a comfortable relationship with English. You don't want it to feel like an enemy or a test. You want to see it as a friend, a tool, a doorway to new experiences. You want to speak it in a way that shows your true self. You want to understand others better and explore the world without language holding you back. If you adopt this approach and follow the various tips we explored, writing short notes, reading little stories, listening to shows, speaking daily, and embracing errors, you will find that confidence emerges naturally. You don't have to force it. You only have to keep learning bit by bit with a calm and curious mind. Then one day, you'll realize you have reached a level of ease you once thought impossible. English becomes part of who you are. You might still have more to learn. Everyone does. But you are no longer shy about it. You say what you want to say, enjoy each new word, and look forward to the next conversation. That is true confidence. That is how you speak English freely.